G'day viewers, Graham here, hope you're doing well. Well, it's interesting to see what happened on Thursday and Friday after the announcement from the Federal Reserve. It really did take a lot of value out of the US dollar. Here in Australia at the moment, we've just pushed past 76 cents US to an Australian dollar, which is very, very high. Every time something comes along to push the Australian dollar up, not only does it go up, but it doesn't seem to come back down again. And now it's holding a really high value. Now we all know that the silver and gold market is really heavily manipulated. So it doesn't really move up or down without the approval of the manipulators. Because as you're probably well aware, they have an agenda. And that is implementing the new global financial system with the new global financial currency. Now this system that they're going to implement is going to be so drastic that the only way they could actually bring it in is if people demand it. And right now I don't think the demand is great enough to move into a cashless system and bring about a new reserve currency. They're some of the primary goals from this big transfer. So this is why I think we've still got more time, because it hasn't really got quite bad enough yet for these drastic measures to be accepted. But they will, and that's why they continue down this pathway of what seems to be madness to the rest of us. This huge accumulation of debt and pushing forwards with false growth is deliberately making the crunch that we have at the end of this even worse. It has to be super bad before you can get people to give away all of their rights. You can whittle them down over time, but to take the big ones, like the right to hold cash or the freedom of speech, something really drastic has to occur. The manipulating forces are going to use every kind of excuse to blame everything and everyone except itself for what's about to occur. The global banking cartel are going to push the image that they are the saviours, when in actual fact, as we all know, they are the ones that created the mess to begin with. So even though that we see spikes like this in the market we saw a few days ago, it's unlikely that we're going to see the breakout just yet, because this latest round of so-called central banking improvements will play out in the market and continue to add a lot more pressure to an already very bad market. When all this collapses, they want to make sure it collapses so hard not only can it not come back, but people will be begging for the new system. So what we need to do is continue to buy in the dips that we're going to have along the way, because as we know, eventually this market will break out, even if it's a case of they've done it deliberately to destroy the US dollar. The quickest and simplest way to stop people using the US dollar is to make it worthless. By making all fiat currencies worthless, and the only currency that has any value is the new one, people will move to it very rapidly, and that new currency being fully digital will cause the natural death in the physical fiat currencies, and no longer will you be able to have cash. Having announcements like recently floating the idea of removing the $100 US bill was a test to see the reaction of the general population, and all in all, for the majority it went unnoticed. So the opportunity is getting better all the time for them to implement all these systems. They just need to make sure it gets to the grand finale to make sure that they can fully implement their system and lock it in permanently. Now I suspect that there's going to be a few more dips in the pipeline for us, because I believe the manipulation is going to allow us a couple of more opportunities. And if we do see a dip down to the mid to low 14s, it's going to be short-lived, that's for sure. So getting all you can is always a good idea. The bottleneck in production will happen, and those waiting times are going to stretch right out. Now like I said to you guys before, I'm a home dad, and I do these videos to supplement my income through the AdSense. So if you do like my stuff and I helped you out in any way, click on my adverts and enjoy the content in those that pop up on my videos, and that'll help me out. But I also do the GSM, which is a movement trying to protect our rights to buy, sell and trade in gold and silver. And I also have another channel, The Australian Man, where I give my perspective on other topics that are not associated with silver generally. Righto, that's about it for this one. Like I'm always saying, take it easy, look after yourself. I'll talk to you later. Cheers.